Hey guys, welcome to our webinar. As I mentioned in the chat over there, we were just excited to kick it off by sharing our favorite travel destinations. It's almost time to start our webinar today, so let's get to it. But if you do get a chance to share that, feel free to drop it in the chats. Meanwhile, if you could just confirm that you can hear me okay, see the welcome screen, that way I know that we are all set up to begin. So feel free to drop it in the chat, and that way I can confirm that the chat is working as well. Okay, perfect. Thanks, Divya. All righty, let's get started. Once again, welcome to our Miles and Points 101 workshop with Chai and Sakish. I'm Chai. Sakish and I, we run the page Mad Over Exploring. So we are super excited to have you guys today over here to share some of our travel hacking tips that does comprise of miles and points, which are so important to make our travels happen. Traveling on a budget has always been our goal. That way we can make as many trips as possible in a year, which is why we feel miles and points definitely plays a huge role in it. And we are more than happy to share our tricks and tips with you. And also for this session, start with the baseline so you are set up to get started as well. So in this session, what would you expect? So what we're going to do is help you speed start your learning in the travel hacking world. We're going to help you learn how to earn tons of points with expenses that you're already paying for. We're going to help you learn how to utilize those earned points for the best value. And while we do so, we'll tell you the right lingo to consume relevant material and act on the points deals faster whenever you see us share something in our travel channel, where we always share the latest updates about some great deal going on, or even on our stories, the way we redeem some deals. We want to make sure that you guys are understanding of the lingos that we use and have a basic idea about what we're talking about. So the aim today is pretty much in line with the slogan, which says, give a man a fish and you will feed him for a day. Teach a man to fish and you will feed him for a lifetime. So today we're going to help teach you how to fish instead of giving you the fish directly. So that's the aim of today's session. All right. So as for the agenda, we'll start with sharing what miles and points are, how you could earn and redeem them, and where you should start. We'll also be sharing some of the credit cards, which are pretty essential to get started with the miles and points game and making the most of them for your travel. And while we do that, if you have any questions, just feel free to drop it in the Q&A section of the webinar chat. That way we can address them towards the end of the session, and even make it available for others to see. That way we are able to answer as many questions as we can towards the end. And as we go through all these sections, we will mention those travel rewards lingos that I was speaking about. So anything that says like miles, transfer awards, points, rewards, bonus, redemption, CPP, like there's so many lingos that goes around that it took us a while for to learn as well. And we want to make sure that you guys are up to speed with it. So make sure that you are on the lookout for these words in the green font color. Those are the travel reward specific lingos that we will make sure to explain when we are in a particular section. All right, so let's begin with a simple question. What are miles and points? So you may have heard the term mile and point interchangeably, but they are sometimes used in certain scenarios, such as, but also to understand, these are essentially the unit of travel reward or currency. When we talk about money, those are like in dollars, but when it comes to these travel rewards and what we earn, those are the currency, the currency term that's used as mile or point. And when it comes to airlines, it's generally in miles. When it comes to hotels or car rental, you hear the word points. And sometimes you hear both of them when it comes to a bank or a credit card. So for example, Chase uses points, but Capital One uses miles. So that's just one example to have in them. So how can miles and points bring value to your travel? Like, why is it important to know? All right, the first reason is flights. This is probably my best sort of redemption for points, like the way we utilize it, is getting almost free flights. And what this does is when you get in the miles points games, you try to understand how you can make the most of it to get as I said, almost free points, but also upgrade to better premium classes such as a business class or a first class flight. So just to give a quick example over here, Sankash and I individually were able to redeem 35,000 points when we were booking a flight from Washington, D.C. to all the way India. So that for us seemed like a great redemption, especially considering that we were flying in the month of December. Another upcoming trip where we were able to book a business class flight just for 45,000 points, that was a great redemption as well. So this was some of the way when the points that we earned, we were able to make the most of to make our travels happen and also obviously save on those thousands of dollars in airfare tickets. Another way of doing so is by applying points towards hotels. So how does that help? You eventually end up getting some free nights. And as you may know, that accommodation does sum up a lot towards a travel expense. And if you are able to save towards it, I definitely feel it does bring down the budget of your trip. So applying those points towards free nights really helps. It also helps towards room upgrades. Sometimes building up a royalty program with a particular hotel helps you have that elite status that allows for free room upgrades. So why not get the pleasure of doing that? So to give you guys one example, we were able to book a Hyatt-centric Milan hotel, the Hyatt-centric Milan hotel in Milan for 30,000 points for 2 nights. That was with the Hyatt's points that we had. And with the ISG points that we had, we were also able to redeem it towards our stay in Fort Myers. So this way, we were able to save on our stay and bring down on the travel budget. All right. So when you get into the miles and points games, there are some other value that you can add to your travel. So there are some really other cool perks that does add on. For example, access to lounges. By having the right credit card, you can get access to lounges for free. So I feel that is one of my most favorite benefit after getting free flights. You also get redemption for your global entry or TSA pre-check membership if you do choose to opt in for those. As I said, sometimes these credit cards directly give you elite status, which does help you with automatic upgrades. And let's say if it's an airline website, it allows you for a seat upgrades or more bags, or as I mentioned earlier, a room upgrade will allow you for, let's say, Wi-Fi, free Wi-Fi, water bottles, waive parking fee, and even a room upgrade. And these points are not only specific to something that you earn towards a credit card, but also through loyalty programs. Let's say with Enterprise, you have been building up your loyalty and you end up earning points with them. That eventually adds on to your perks, such as a free car upgrade. And also, let's say with a tool company, you are end up having to build a loyalty program with them. You are able to apply those points towards that. And lastly is parking spots. This is something that we have definitely made the most of by building loyalty with one parking program so that we get free overnight airport parking and help save on those expenses when it comes to our travels. All right, so how to earn a redeem. Now, this section is something that Sankash will lead, so I'm going to hand it over to him.
Hey guys, Sunkist here. So let's begin with the most important two sections of this webinar. How do you earn those miles and points that Chai just shared all about, and how to redeem them? So the first section that I'm going to jump in is how to earn these points. So let's give you a broad brush first of like the different ways that are out there. This is what you see, like loyalty programs, credit card sign-up bonus, strategic spending on those, offers, challenges, promos, retail shopping portals, purchasing points, and the referral bonus. So this is just a broad brush, but I'm going to jump into each of these categories and break down exactly how you can maximize your earning those points. So the first and probably the most popular that you already know about, you do not even need a credit card for this, are loyalty programs, aka frequent flyer. So what that means is you sign up with your email with any service or program, and every dollar you spend, you earn some points for that. And the more you spend, the more you earn points, and that builds up your bank of points that you can redeem. So for an example with flights is Air France KLM Flying Blue. Another one is United Mileage Plus. Air Canada Aeroplan is another. So just to give you a summary of, like these are the different kinds of programs with different popular airlines that offer a loyalty program. And almost all airlines out there have a loyalty program to reward you for your great engagement with the services. With hotels is the same thing. World of Hyatt is one, IHG Rewards, Marriott Bonvoy, and Hilton Honors. There's also Wyndham. So there's a bunch of chains and brands that are out there who and they have a variety of properties available. So every time you stay at any of those properties, you would earn points. Car rentals also, if you do a lot of road trips, you already know this, or if you arrive at the airport, you'll see a plethora of options from Enterprise, Hertz, Avis, National Thrifty. There's a bunch of them you probably already know about. They also offer loyalty programs. And before actually I go any further, let me share a survey with you guys. Not a survey, sorry, a poll. So let me do a quick. Actually, we'll make it a quiz instead of a poll, because there is a right answer to this. And I'm going to launch it. So to earn more miles and points, you need to travel more. Do you guys think this is true or false? All right, looks like we have a few responses already. We'll wait for a few more. Okay, so let's end this poll and share the results. And I'll show you the correct answers. Correct answer. So the correct answer for this is false. The keyword over there is need. To earn more miles and points, you do not need to travel more. Yes, the more you travel, the more you earn from these programs, but that won't really get you the most points. And that's what the rest of this earn section is about. Different ways how you can maximize your points earning, even without having to travel more. So with that, let's jump into the next section, which is credit card welcome offer. So opening a credit card is one of the best ways to increase the points that you hold that eventually can be redeemed. And the welcome offer that they provide is one of the most like the largest chunk of points that you'll accrue over the next year if you open something today. So one of the best ways to go for a welcome offer, like what constitutes a good welcome offer, which is, well, the first thing is the sign up bonus. That should be huge. So it can be 60,000, 75,000, up to even 150,000, depending on the credit card that you're opening. The minimum spending is another one. So within a certain period after you open your credit card, it could be 3 months, it could be 6 months. Within that period, how much do you have to spend to achieve this sign-up bonus? So if that spending is low and you're getting a very high sign-up bonus, that's really a good strategy to select that card. So a low minimum spending, something like maybe just $3,000 in 3 months or 4,000 in 6 months is not a bad idea to get a credit card that is giving you a high sign-up bonus. You can also time it right, which means for some limited time, there are some elevated offers that are available. What that means is, for example, Chase Sapphire Preferred, which is a popular $95 annual fee card, was offering a 75,000 welcome sign-up bonus up to just last week. So all of, I think, April, May, and up to a few weeks of June, they were offering that, and many people made the most of that offer, and it's back down to 60,000 now. So looking for those limited time elevated offers really help. A reasonable annual fee, and reasonable is very subjective here because it really comes down to what perks you value. There are $0 annual fee cards, $95 or even $395 or $550 or even $695 credit cards. So what really is reasonable for you in terms of the benefits that you're getting? That is something you need to consider. So I'll give a couple of examples like Chase Sapphire. I already mentioned the $95 card. Right now it's back at 60,000, but it can be elevated to 75,000 again. The minimum spend on that is 4,000 in 3 months. Capital One Venture X is another one, which is $395 annual fee, but gives a ton of perks, and we'll talk more about it in the later sections. That rewards you with 75,000 miles with a minimum spend of $4,000 in 4 months. The next one, I'm throwing an example of an airline credit card, which is United Mileage Plus Explorer, which is free for the first year. But for the second year onwards, you have to start paying, say, $99. And the sign-up bonus on that is 50,000, but can go up to 60,000 during some months of the year. And the minimum spend is just $3,000 in 3 months. So that's what a welcome offer means. This is what you need to look at, the different parameters in it. Let me tell you more about this sign-up bonus. So this welcome offer, the biggest question you might have is how to meet the minimum spend, because I understand $4,000 in 3 months is not a easy amount to reach. So some tips that you can follow are that time opening the card during your big purchases. So that means, for example, Chai and I, when we bought a new home a year and a half ago, we opened 2 credit cards between the two of us, one each, and put all our furniture expenses on that for the setting of the new home. It was also around the time of holiday, and our wedding was coming up in a month or two. So we put all those expenses on those cards and were able to reach the minimum spend. So time opening it during your big purchases. You could also, whenever you go out with your friends, you can pay for your group's bill and then settle it on splitwise, if you know what I mean. So that's something you can do. Some expenses that you pay over once or twice in a year, lump sum, because you have a discounted rental car insurance, for example, with Geico, or you're paying your property taxes. You could time this in a way that when you have the card, you prepay those rather than waiting for the last day, so that you can achieve your minimum spend faster. Another way we've done this in the past a couple of times is, let's say the deadline is imminent. Next week is the last day when I have to reach the minimum spend, and we shop at Costco. So we would just buy a couple of gift cards to reach that minimum spend, because we know in the very next few weeks or months, we are going to exhaust those gift cards by spending hundreds and hundreds of dollars in Costco when you're just going there for milk. So if you know what I mean there. This one really is very subjective. I would recommend not to do it if possible, like refrain from it, because whenever you pay your income taxes, rent or mortgage or car loan payment, you incur a credit card fee, a 2% or 3%. But in some cases, it might make sense. For example, if you're a contractor or a freelancer who's paying taxes at the end of the financial year, and let's say you have to pay a $10,000 tax on that. If you're incurring a 2% fee, that's costing $200, but you just opened a card that's awarding you 100,000 points. That 100,000 points value could range anywhere from a minimum of $1,000 to up to even 1,500 or 2,000, depending on how one use it. So by paying that extra $200, you're still getting a minimum of $1,000 value with the points. So sometimes it might make sense, but it's very subjective to your situation. So once you've signed up for a credit card or two, even, and we'll talk more about it, how you can diversify to do that. Putting those credit cards, using those credit cards in the right categories is very important. So one of the most fundamental rules I tell everyone is sign up for credit cards that offer more than 1x points in the categories that you spend the most in. So there's no set recipe of which credit card I should open, but whatever you do open, make sure the categories that you spend the most in, you're not earning just 1 point for every dollar you spend, because that's the bare minimum, honestly. So you should try to avoid that and go up to 2x, 3x, even 5x or 10x with certain cards and categories. So, and once you've signed up for those cards, now use the right credit card for the right purchase. So don't just open up your wallet, go for the first card and use it. Just be mindful of, okay, I'm out at a restaurant, which of my credit cards gives me the most points? Okay, I'm out grocery shopping, which credit cards would give me the most points? So that is something to keep in mind. Make the most of bonus categories. So what bonus categories would mean in different situations is, maybe there's a period in which it's a certain category has an elevated earning available. this happens with certain cards where it rotates quarterly from gas stations to Amazon purchases to something else. So you can make the most of your bonus categories over there. Here's an example, a quick example of someone who has opened a Chase Sapphire Preferred and is earning points using his card. So you can see that they're doing a pretty decent job putting most of their expenses out here. The travel purchases earning 2 points, at least not 1x points. And then maybe they don't dine out as much, but even when they do, they're earning 3 points per $1 spent over here. But there are some expenses that are just earning them 1 point, which this 627 could have easily been 1,254 points if they were maybe using another card like this that was giving them 2x miles on all other purchases. This is coming directly from Capital One Venture X. So there are other categories in which you use this card and you earn 5x miles on flights or 10x miles on hotels booked directly through their portal. But this card is also higher, is a more premium card with $395 fee. So when you're diversifying, it really you need to make sense of the benefits that you're getting and will you be using them. But definitely when you're starting out, starting just with one credit card is okay, but try to minimize your 1x earning. And then maybe over a few months or years, you can move on to another card and diversify that, scratches out that category that is just earning 1x and now you're earning 2x. And slowly you build your miles and points journey, opening more credit cards. So that is one idea. Going back to the same example as the bonus categories, something similar, there are offers and challenges and promos that are released time to time by certain credit cards and certain loyalty programs. So this one, for example, you do not even need to hold an IHG credit card, but they are offering this double your points promotion for staying at 2+ brands. If you already have the plans of staying somewhere, you're planning your vacation, if you've signed up, you can look for the emails. If there are any offers available, you can earn more points by staying at the IHG brands. This one, for example, is specific to somebody who holds an IHG credit card. So in a certain period, they are offering, their usual is 5x, I believe, and they're offering 7x at grocery stores or gas stations or restaurants during that period. So you might want to spend over there so that you earn all those points and can redeem it for IHG reward stays. That we'll talk more about the reward stays in a bit. But yeah, that's where all these points are going to get used. Here is another example from Hyatt. Even if you just have an email and you've signed up for an account on their website, you will get this promotion. You just have to register it, and for every 2 nights, you're earning 3,000 points, and you can do this for up to 30 nights, which means almost 45,000 points can be earned. So. But if you have a World of Hyatt credit card credit card, you can earn 500 more points. And this is pretty interesting because with 3,500 points, for every 2 nights, you're earning 3,500. And 3,500 is actually the least for category 1 in an off-peak pricing that's available on Hyatt. So you could actually just get a free night at one of the Hyatt hotels. By staying 2 nights, you're getting a 3rd night free technically to be used in the future. Rent day, if you know about the Build credit card, it's big on all how renters can maximize their points that they pay because they earn points on the rent they pay. And every 1st of the month, Build releases different kinds of perks. So there are some standard ones such as double the points. So Chai and I always try to plan our dates around the 1st of the month, something to look forward to, but also earn double the points. So instead of using a Chase Sapphire Preferred that earns 3x points, we'll use Build because on that day it's earning 6x points out when we're going for dinner. So other than that, they also offer a bunch of other perks from time to time, and they vary. Sometimes they have 100% bonus when you are transferring points. And I'm going to come to the transfer bonus and things like that, but I'm just teasing it over here as to how credit cards will give you offers and challenges and promos to maximize their earning from you, but also you earning the points from them. Other than that, if you're big on online shopping, we are not actually, but if some of you are, you could go for some retail shopping portals, sign up on those. So what this means is you are already buying something of, let's say, Best Buy or Adidas over here. You're already earning points on Adidas. If you're buying a $100 shoe, you're getting 100 points maybe, bare minimum on your credit card. But if you sign up for this portal, then you are also earning additional 3 points. So what that means is airline, hotel, or loyalty programs have such portals that you can sign up on, and it doesn't cost you anything. In fact, you can download their extensions in Chrome, and every time you're on a website about to make a purchase, it will actually alert you that activate this deal, and now you are earning 3 points. An example of that is A Advantage Shopping, which is American Airlines shopping portal. There's a similar concept with credit cards as well, like Chase and Capital One. They have their own Ultimate Rewards portal, has some online shopping options. Capital One portal also has. So there are different portals on which you can do your shopping. Um, and then there's also cashback options like Rakuten, where instead of earning some points, you would earn some cashback right over there. Now, along with this cashback, there's also with Rakuten specifically, there's also hybrid model where you could earn Amex points back. So if you have an Amex credit card, this is useful because you're directly earning Amex points, which you can be used along with your other Amex points for other redemptions. So that's another option. So retail shopping portals are another way you can maximize earning your points. And then you have purchasing the points. Now, this might sound very counterintuitive that, hold on, you want me to spend $1 and earn a point on something I was already going to spend on. That makes sense. But now you're telling me I spend $1 to just buy the point, that's nothing else. Well, you're right. This does not make sense in most cases, but there are a couple of cases where it could make sense. So first is if you're short of a few thousand miles. So for example, the Turkish Airlines flight that we booked for 45,000 miles. Imagine a scenario, I only had 43,000 miles in my either the transferable currency like Chase or Capital One, or in the Turkish Airlines account itself in the loyalty program, and I'm short of 2,000 miles. So I wouldn't wait to accrue them because what if the deal goes away by then? So I would look at an option to purchase those points, and if that makes sense to me, because the redemption is of high value, I can go for it. Another opportunity, or I would say like when you should do this, is a sweet spot. A sweet spot is basically, if, for example, I'll use a hotel example. Hyatt is offering a stay for $500 when you're paying in cash, but the the points, when you're paying with points, is much lower. So you could actually just pay with points instead of cash price, but you don't have the points. So what do you do in that scenario? You can purchase the points, and it gets even better when you actually go for bonus points. What that means is using the same Hyatt example. Hyatt in certain times of the year is offering a discounted price on the points you purchase. So you get more points for the same value, or you're paying less money for the same number of points. So number of bonus points, for example, here in my cart is 110,000 points. It would have cost me 2640, but because there's a discount going on 25%, I'm only paying just under $2,000. So let's say I'm looking at a cash price of $3,000 at a Maldives villa, and that for maybe 4 or 5 nights. And at that point, I'm considering, okay, for my honeymoon, should I just pay that? Or if I look at the points value, hold on, it only cost me 110,000 points if I pay with points. Then isn't 2,000 spending 2,000 to buy 110,000 better than spending 3,000? You straight up save $1,000 right there. So that's a scenario where purchasing points could make sense, but not always. So, and yeah, of course, the last thing I would say, never buy points speculatively. Like you just think in the future, oh, there's a discount going on, let me purchase it. Unless you are serial miles and points, enthusiast who knows what they're doing. But definitely don't buy points speculatively, because you don't know if it gets devalued in the future or what happens. So don't sit on your points just because there's a deal in terms of purchasing the points. So, and the last one is, I think pretty much everyone knows about this. It's the referral bonus. What that means is you have a credit card, you refer it to your family or friend. For every new opening of that credit card, for every new customer that bank acquires, they are rewarding you with some referral bonus. So with Chase, it could be 15,000. With Capital One Venture X, it could be 25,000. And there's also a cap to it. So you can only do 4 or 5 in a year. So there's always a limit. So you need to look at the fine print for that. But yeah, this is also a great way to earn some bonus points. And I think that is the last one in the earn category. I'm just going to take a quick break and sip some water, because this is the part where it's going to start getting interesting as to you opened the right credit cards. You invested in this webinar firstly, and then you would open the credit cards we recommended that made sense for you. Then you earned all the welcome bonus. Okay, now I'm putting my spending also in the right categories. And now 6 months later, I have a pool of points. But now what do I do next with it? How do I really make the most of it? How do I, Chai and Sankit said on the page, oh, you can go to Italy by spending these points. But now where do I go look for those kinds of deals? What do I do? So the rest of the session is focused on that. And I'm hoping to make you guys, as aware of the different types of ways you can make these redemptions possible. So I'm going to start with the first one. The first one on the list is not the best one. It's actually one of the worst ones. And I'll tell you why. Most beginners do this when they sign up for a card, for example, Chase, it gives awards you with a bunch of points. And the next time they're booking their vacations, they just go to the Chase portal. And over there, they see something is available, a flight or a hotel booking, and they'll just use their miles or points to pay for it directly from the portal. That's actually the worst way to do it. So an example is you see a $200 flight that you can either pay $200 in cash, or you can pay 20,000 Chase points. Actually, I won't use the Chase example here, and I'll come to that why. Let's say it's Capital One. So with Capital One, $200 flight or 20,000 points. Typically, each point in most programs is worth 1 cent when you're redeeming it on a portal, and that's the math over there. That's why $200 flight you can pay 20,000 points. But some offer a high value, and that's why I said I won't use Chase as an example. So as I said, Capital One is allowing you to use their points or miles, as they call it in their system, for 1 cent per point. So a $200 flight would cost you 20,000 points. But Chase Ultimate Rewards portal, if you hold Chase Sapphire Preferred, allows you to, it gives you a value of 1.25x. So what that means is the same $200 flight, if you're comparing options and the cash price is the same, of course, the same $200 flight will cost you 16,000 points in the Chase Sapphire Preferred. If you have a Chase Sapphire Reserve, which is a more premium card, so $550 annual fee, that's going to, because it's a premium card with a higher annual fee. One of the perks is that the value of those points are 1.5x when redeemed in the portal. So then that same $200 flight is 13,000 points. Definitely not bad if you're doing that. But I think there's always an option which is better in terms of transferring if you're flexible with the dates and things like that. And that's what the next few sections are going to be. So using the reward portal and using up your points on the portal as your last priority when you haven't found any of the other better redemptions, then you can go for it. But even then, if you're doing something for 1x, make that as your absolute minimum. Do not go below 1x when you're redeeming it. So next, I'm going to transfer to or move on to the more interesting part of how you can redeem your points, and which is not the credit card portals, but actually transferring them from the credit card portal to a program. And here is a map of somebody who I would commend did all of this by putting all the banks and all the airlines and the hotels and the loyalty programs out there, and drew out this map of which points transfer to which program. I don't want to teach you this here. This is just to share the sentiment that when you're starting out, this can be very overwhelming, knowing where exactly which cards to have in the first place, which programs to sign up second, and then how to transfer them and things like that. And that's why I'm going to start breaking down some of the terms that you should know. So the first one is a transfer partner. So a transfer partner is nothing but the program to which you can transfer your transferable card points. So if you have a Chase Ultimate Reward portal, for example, it transfers to Virgin Atlantic Flying Club. Or it can transfer to Marriott. So that's what a transfer partner is. So these programs or these companies have contracted with these banks or credit cards and allow you an option to transfer your transferable points to these programs. So that's what a transfer partner is. The next is a transfer ratio. So that means a ratio at which points can be transferred from the bank to these programs. So most partners offer 1:1. So those are good partners. On average, most of them are 1:1. But some of them can vary. And to know what is good, it's simple math. Basically, if you can transfer 1 point and that becomes 2 points over here, which means there's 100% bonus, that's excellent. You should go for it. But if you are transferring 1:1, that's average, that's decent. But if you're transferring 3:1, which means every 3 points you transfer, so let's say you transfer 3,000 points to a program and that only amounted to 1,000 points. That's not really a good thing. You've kind of diminished the value of your points over there. So that's what a transfer ratio is. So transfer partner, transfer ratio. The next thing you need to know is transfer bonus. So what that means is that, for example, up until I think last month, Marriott Bonvoy and Virgin Atlantic were offering bonus points in the Chase portal. So that means every 1,000 points you're transferring on Virgin Atlantic to Virgin Atlantic from Chase is becoming 1,300 Virgin Atlantic miles. So that's really more value just from the 1,000 points you had in Chase. So you should make the most of it, but again, not speculatively. If you have something in mind, you've looked at a redemption, and we'll come to that, how to look for those. But be aware of, like, once you transfer, these are final and non-refundable. There's no program that really allows you to undo that. So you should be aware of that. So it's great time to transfer whenever these bonuses are available. But you should also keep in mind the time, whether bonus is available or not, the time to transfer. So transfer time means most programs are actually instant. So you would transfer from Chase to Virgin Atlantic, and within a minute or maybe 5 minutes, you have those points available. But there are a few that advertise that it could go up to 72 hours. So when it says up to 72 hours, it's not necessary that it will take 72 hours. It could be the same day or the next day. But you should be aware, because you could lose the award availability if the transfer time is higher. You're waiting for those to happen, and then you go back and check, oh my God, the award availability has gone. That seat is not available anymore. So that's something you should know about the transfer time. So here is an example on top right of a bonus that we did. So we had to book, we already told you, we booked our Turkish Airlines flight to Turkey from here on Turkish Airlines, but on the way back, we found a better deal on Air France. And at that point, there was a 25% bonus going on Chase. So our return trip, we booked for just 22,000 miles each. No, actually, my bad. We transferred such that we probably had some points or what, but eventually we transferred less than 44,000 miles, 25% less. And that became 44,000 in the Air France system. So bonuses are definitely a good way to maximize that. And then now I'm going to move into the redemptions itself, that you've transferred your points. But before you do that, you need to look for redemptions, because you need to be sure that where are these points going to get used. So how do you do that? So one example is, before actually I jump into the example, let me share a couple of terms that I've already thrown so far, but I want to make sure I kind of define that if you still are confused. So award space or award availability, what that means is the number of seats or rooms in the case of hotels that can be booked using your miles and points. So that's what award space or award availability means. It's not exactly proportional to the number of seats or rooms that are available in terms of cash bookings, because of course they want to make a lot of money. So they have more percentage of cash bookings available, and only a limited pool of award space or award availability, whether it's flights or hotels. So you need to be aware of that. Award flight, and yeah, so award availability means that. Now specifically award flight or award night, what that means, as I just said, is not all award flights or award nights at the hotels can be booked with miles or points. Sorry, not all flights or nights can be booked with miles and points, but award flights and award nights can be, and they are limited. So, and in terms of the peak season, they are even pretty thin, because of course these airlines and hotels want to make more money, but they do offer a small pool of it. So if you're planning out in advance, that is definitely helpful to give you more options. So let me do one thing over here. I'm going to go into an example of United Airlines. And I believe you all can see my screen, so that's great. I'll use an example of how do you, so with this example, what I'm trying to do is show you how to look for this award space or award availability. So we'll first look at an award flight. So I'm coming to United. It's a great program to start finding some flights, and I'm going to put IAD, New Orleans, and let's just pick a random date, August 14, and hit find flights. Now in here, if you are seeing these prices in money or miles, that's what you need to do. You need to select miles and you'll start seeing options that are available. So for example, this 537 flight is available for 10.7K and it costs $5.60, which are taxes and fees. And I'll come to that in just a bit. So you see all of like a bunch of options that are available, differently priced. So you see all your options, and if it's green over here, specific example for United, that means it's a saver award, which means it's probably one of the best deals on that day for that route that is available. And if you see the same thing in money, you'll see the cash price over here. In terms of if you're looking at the same flight, then $96, 131. So this is what we were seeing because the award flights give you the economy. So that's comparable to $131. So I'll come to when do you know if it's a good flight or not in just a bit. So let's go back over here. 1 second. Going to all right. And hopefully you're seeing the screen still. And so that was an example in the flight. I'll give you another example in terms of the hotel. But before that, I want to share what dynamic pricing versus award chart means. So dynamic pricing means that the redemptions are priced based on the equivalent number of like tickets or like the demand for the cash tickets. So what that means is if it's a high season and everyone's trying to book, the price in terms of the miles or points will go higher. But if it's an award chart based availability, which means it's a fixed reward system for this certain route from one destination to from the origin to the destination, you always pay that X number of points. Or in a hotel program for on a certain date, you always pay just 5,000 points, even if the price is up to $500 or $1,000 in terms of cash. So that's what an award chart means. The thing is with flights, almost all reward systems, all programs have moved to a dynamic pricing because that's how they can make money and it makes more sense for them in terms of the routes and the demand. And most hotels as well are doing this, but there are a few hotel brands that don't do this. For example, Hyatt still follows an award chart, and that's why it's one of the most beloved programs for miles and points enthusiasts. Because even if, for example, we recently went for cricket match in New York, and we literally booked 3 nights before. We booked a hotel 3 nights before at a Hyatt, and we just paid in points. And it would have costed the same if you would have booked 6 months before or one night before, as long as there's availability, of course, which was about, I think, 15,000 points for that night. But the cash price, on the other hand, went up to $500 uh, 3 nights before, but it would have been a little cheaper if you would have booked by cash a few months in advance. So that's where the award chart or dynamic pricing, having that knowledge makes sense, which programs are following what. So here's an example of Hyatt, as I was saying, that off-peak, standard, and peak have a set table. If a certain categories A, B, C, you kind of already know if as long as they are in A and as long as they have an availability and that certain date falls in an off-peak, standard, or peak, and you can go on the website and check all that out. You pretty much know how much it will cost. It won't change by the demand. So that was the Hyatt's example for hotels. Now I'm going to jump into the award flights. So with award flights, something to know is the different alliances or groups. So what that means is airlines form an alliance, and that helps booking an award flight for another airline within the same alliance. So Star Alliance has all these bunch of airlines in there, like Air Canada, Lufthansa, Swiss Airlines, Turkish Airlines, United. OneWorld has American, British. SkyTeam has KLM, Air France, Delta. So knowing this alliance is really helpful. And we'll share the deck with you guys as a follow-up after this webinar, so you can refer to this, but things can change in the future. So just be aware of what's the most recent update to these alliances. So what you need to do is start searching for these redemptions on the airline websites. For Star Alliance, the two airlines programs that I would recommend is United and Air Canada. United Mileage Plus, as I was just showing you right now. So we already covered that example. And Air Canada is on Aeroplan. So these give you a good starting point with the most flight options of different airlines within their program, within their on their website, within their award search. And then SkyTeam, you can go with Air France, but I would say don't go with the Air France website, but instead go with the Air France app, because it's much more stable and less glitchy compared to the website when you're looking for award flights. And with OneWorld, you can go with American Airlines or Alaska Air, because they have really good sweet spots over there, offering different flights over there. So other than that, what you need to know are something very important, which is taxes and fees. So when you book your award flights, you're basically paying a certain portion that the airline is making or was charging in terms of the cash. You're basically paying for that with points. But there's a certain portion that are taxes and fees, which you're actually paying with cash booking as well. But you never notice because you just look at the final price on Google Flights or wherever you're booking. So you don't really see the breakdown unless you expand on that. But you're always paying a taxes and fees. And with award flights, you still have to pay those taxes and fees. Your goal should be to reduce those taxes and fees when you're making these award flights. What these taxes and fees really comprise of are like passenger ticket tax, international departure tax, international arrival tax, September 11 security fee. There are carrier import surcharges, airport surcharges, fuel surcharges. There's a bunch of those kind of things in there. So your goal should be to reduce it, as you just saw an example on United, because it's a US operator. The taxes and fees are very minimal. So it was just $5.60. But at the same time, if you are on British Airways and or Virgin Atlantic, it goes through London, which is a hub for most connections in the Europe. But because UK's laws tells them to collect more taxes and airport fees, the fees are higher, even though the points redemption might be low. So you need to know when you're looking for these award flights, what those taxes and fees are and how much do they cost, and compare them accordingly. This one, I kind of jumped the gun and already showed you how to find the award flights with the United example, because it made sense over there. So I'm going to come and now show you how do you know if a redemption is good. So one example is, or the most important parameter is really the cents per point. So let's take an example of IAD to Paris. A flight is available for just $600 one way. And it's much easier to actually do one way. That's why in my example on United as well, I just selected one way, because you kind of see a breakdown of how much it's costing just one way. When you again, coming back to our example, the flight costs $600 in cash, but when you look at the points price, you are seeing 20,000 points and $100 in taxes and fees. We already know what taxes and fees mean. So how will you calculate if this is a good redemption or not? So what you need to do is follow this formula. Value in cents per point is cash price minus the taxes and fees divided by points price. So value in cents per point is $600 minus $100, which is the fees. So because you are going to pay those $100, that's why we are subtracting it out of the cash booking. So for those 500, to offset those $500, you are paying 20,000 points, and that's why you divide it by 20,000. So what you get is $0.025, which is 2.5 cents per point. So in the industry, usually anything over 1.8 or 2 cents per point is pretty good. If you remember in the portal, if you had a Capital One card, Venture X, for example, that is 1 cent per point. In the Chase Sapphire Preferred, that is 1.25 cents per point. If you are redeeming it right there for the same flight, let's say the same $600 flight is available and you pay with cash, up with your points over there. And if you had a reserve, it would be 1.5 cents. But if you would transfer this and book using the award availability on this, let's say Air France, this might be, then you're just paying 2.5 cents per point and you've maximized the value of your points over here. So that's why transferring them and redeeming them for award flights and even hotels is really the best way to make the most of your points. And that has been our strategy whenever we are planning our vacations. So that's what cents per point is. I would be happy to, answer more questions in the Q&A round if you have more questions on this, but this is one of the most important things you need to know. So we've looked at the award flights. The same thing applies to award nights as well. A few things to know is maybe what I can do is let me give you an example of on Hyatt where how would you find this award flight? Let's say I am going to Chennai, India, and I'm looking for a random date. So in here, I would select this use points. If you don't do this, you'll see the cash booking, which you should do so that you can compare. But as I was saying, there's a really good program because if you look at this price, it costs 7,000 average per night in terms of cash or 13,000, but it actually costs 5,000 points per night for both of them. So I would rather stay at a Park Hyatt than a Hyatt Regency because it even has better ratings. Maybe it's even closer to where I want to be. And I just have to pay 5,000 points. So that's why points and miles really help, especially with this hotel program specifically, because it's not dynamic pricing, it's an award chart pricing. So just wanted to throw an example out there for award nights. And let's come back over here. And let me open up the tab for you guys. Okay. So another thing you should know about award nights are free night certificates. That's an important strategy when you're signing up for these hotel programs or even hotel credit cards. You earn free nights. It's actually one of the perks of certain credit cards that if you spend just by holding the card, a $95 annual fee card, for example, Hyatt or IHG, at the end of your year, when you renew your card membership, you get a free night certificate. So just for $95, you're getting a free night certificate for a category 4 hotel, which could easily cost $250 or $300. And with the award chart, again, going back to Hyatt, the demand does not matter as long as there's availability. Rather than paying 500, 600 in a high season, I'm just using my free night certificate because I just paid $95 annual fee for holding that card. So that's what a free night certificate is. Certain programs also give you a 4th or 5th night free when you book award nights. So Hyatt is one example, Marriott is another one, where, for example, 3 nights that you book, the 4th night is free. So you might as well just go for 4 nights and plan because you'll be paying points for just 3 nights. So that's another way. Just going back to free night certificates, just that card example that I gave is not the only one. There are other ways you can earn as well. For example, on Hyatt, if you spend $15,000 in a year, you could earn an extra free night certificate. So that's one way. Another way is with Hyatt is if you have they have something called Brand Explorer. So for every different 5 brands that you stay at, like Park Hyatt, Hyatt Place, and so on, every time you finish 5, you earn a free night certificate. So that's also a great way to accrue more free nights to use. So I think I jumped the gun again and showed you the demo over here because I wanted to give you an understanding of what these points mean in terms of the award chart. So we already looked at the demo of how to find these award nights. So let's move on to the next section, which I'm still in the redemption section and going on about I'm sharing basically different ways how you can redeem these points. So award nights, award flights is definitely the most interesting and the most bang for the buck. But there are some other ways as well, like upgrades. So this is coming straight from Singapore Airlines. You can upgrade with miles if you are in a certain, if you picked a seat for a certain category like economy standard, you could spend your miles. So you could see with which banks do I have Singapore Airline available as a transfer partner, and actually can upgrade, which might be cheaper than paying cash. So Mileage Plus, which is the United's uh, program, with them also you can upgrade your seat on even cash bookings, not just have to be booked with miles and later upgraded with miles, but even cash bookings and then upgrade with miles later on if you have a card with them. So there are different ways you get different upgrades and elite statuses that along with your points can bring more value to your travel experience, whether it's hotels or flights. So some other quick ways to redeem are cover purchases. So what this means is, so rather than paying for the flight in the portal, that the first example that I gave you, which I said was one of the worst ways to do, rather than doing that, you could still spend your card, spend on your card, and later cover that purchase. So once your statement generates, you can then use your points to cover it. In some cases, that might make sense, but it's still 1 cent per point, and not like, it's like, for example, with our honeymoon that we did at the Lux Star Hotel in Maldives. For that, it made sense to actually pay with cash because we also were we were using the Premier collection under Venture X, and it was giving us the credit. So we did that, and it made sense to come back and apply the points that we earned, bringing down the value. But it may not make sense all the time. If you are able to transfer and to Hyatt or something like that, it makes sense. But this Luckstar does not really offer a transfer partnership with any brands. So over there, it made sense to do the cover purchase option. Cashback is another way. I think if you are committed to the travel, like the points and miles game, cashback is not really a good way to redeem those points, because sometimes they are even lesser than 1 cent per point when you avail them for cashback. So not a great way, but it is a way. That's why I'm listing it out over here. Merchandise and products, also one of the worst ways, but it still exists, that if you are doing online shopping and you want to start now just use those points to buy that, you can, but it could be 0.5 cents per point or 0.8. So you need to verify how much how many points are you giving up for that product. Gift cards, similar approach. You can buy gift cards for certain brands on the portals, like Apple gift cards and things like that. So again, not the best way, but it is an option. And the last one I would say is paying rent. So you can earn points, but they also have a way where you can, with the points that you've earned, you can pay rent with it. So this example is very specific to Built, but when you're paying the rent, the value that you're really getting is 0.5 cents per point. So if your apartment costs $2,000 in rent, you'll be paying 4,000 points, which is not really a good value. So that's why it's not the best, but it's an option. So most of these, as I said, are not recommended as they offer the least value. And whatever I covered before are definitely the best ways. So now that we've looked at the redeem section, let's try to bring all of this together, because this is where most people get overwhelmed after learning all these fundamentals, that where do I really start? So I'll kind of give you a template of what you can do. Is first, identify your travel goals. Are you somebody who does just one big vacation a year? Are you somebody who does a few vacations a year, occasional, but still big, but still only a few times spread out in a year, 2 or 3? Or are you somebody who's doing a few big vacations, but also a few small getaways? Somebody like us, for example, who travels more frequently. That will really help you understanding how much do you spend towards travel, and how many points you can earn with all these strategies. How many times can you redeem these points? So that will really help. Also, diving deep into your travel style, you need to understand what is your travel pattern exactly. Are you flying with a certain airline more often, or are you flexible? Most of the time, do you just see like whatever is the cheapest available, or do you like to be loyal to a certain airline because you like the service? and all that. Um, Fly to new destinations or repeat? Are you somebody who goes to Florida once or twice a year or goes to new destinations every year? So that's something to consider. Stay at hotels or Airbnbs or vacation rentals. That's something you should identify yourself, because that will help you with the hotel section of the redemption. As I was saying, if you're staying with a certain hotel more often, yeah, within the hotel as well. Are you staying at a certain hotel brand, or are you flexible? Or are you not staying at the hotel at all and you spend more on Airbnbs? And I don't really like Airbnbs for that reason as much, unless they are very unique and in a very good destination, very different, because Airbnb doesn't have a loyalty program. So all that spending does not amount to anything other than just some points earned in the bank. Um, Other thing to know is, are you traveling solo, in a group, as a couple, or as a family? Because you would want to extend the travel benefits that you have on these credit cards to your couple, or to your partner, or to your family members. So which travel perks do you value the most as a solo person, as well as whoever who will be touched or will be availing the same benefits? As a group or as a family, what kind of travel perks do you value the most? So that's about the travel patterns. Now, once you've done this, identify your spending. So this is all about like what kind of vacations you do, whether it's, one big, two or three, or more of them in a year. But in your day-to-day life, other than just the travel, what kind of spending are you doing? Which categories do I spend the most in? Rent, bills and utility, groceries, travel, entertainment, there's gas as well. There's a bunch of categories. So you need to identify where you spend the most, because tying it back to what I shared with you earlier, um, you could be spending in categories that are earning 1x points. So you're not maximizing the points. So that will help you knowing which credit cards to get. Um, and maybe you have a redemption goal in mind. You saw a reel, or you saw somebody going first class and you're like, I want to do that. So you need to work backwards to do all of this and then be able to redeem it for a business class. So like we want to start doing luxury travel for less. That's there. Or maybe you are a big family, you have 4 people, and you want to stretch that point. Like maybe you earn 80,000 points with a card, and you can actually book tickets for 15 or 20,000 points to Italy. So you're covering 4 seats all the way to Italy for free, because you signed up for the right credit card. So your entire family is traveling for pretty much free at that point. So you want to stretch that point in economy. That's another way. In terms of hotels and flights, also you can compare that. Do you prefer a one night of luxury at a 5-star resort, or do you want to enhance your travel in the plane, like 6 hours of luxury in a plane? So do you want to spend on the first class, or basically a beautiful Maldives resort, for example? So that's some things you can think of when you're putting a redemption goal in mind. Or don't put a redemption goal, which is how we started. Be open to future redemption opportunities, because these things can change. Miles and points, they can get devalued for a certain program. Certain programs can make changes, good changes or bad changes, and there are new redemption opportunities that can keep coming. So rather than going backward with a goal in mind, maybe you just get started with this miles and points game, because you will somehow eventually use it for something. There's always the bare minimum of using it in the portal, right? So that's also still in a way free money that you're getting just by putting those spending that you see on the top right. So that's what I would say. Where do I start? And before we move on to the next section, which is the travel credit cards, which I will explain further on, I will share a quiz again with you all. That, just give me 1 second. All right. So I found the quiz. The quiz is launching. All right, there you go. So how many credit cards in total do we both, which is Chai and me, hold currently? So
Alrighty. So looks like most of you have answered the quiz. So let me quickly reveal the answer to you all. So most of you did say 12, but the right answer is 16. So the both of us collectively hold 16 credit cards, but not all of them are travel credit cards, although those are the most of them. But these are some of the credit cards that we opened up back when we were students to help build up our credit history. And that's something that we've even kept till date. But yes, in total, we have 16 credit cards. And let me share why is that so. All right. So let's start with a fun section that's the travel credit card that does, as Sankesh mentioned, helps really kickstart your travel earning if you sign up for the correct ones. So let's go ahead and understand what are these travel credit cards. So there are different types of travel credit cards. The first one are the transferable rewards. So essentially, with credit cards such as Chase, Capital One, Build, you can earn card points with them, and as Sankesh mentioned, transfer them to different partners such as airlines, hotels, car rental, and be able to use those points in order to make those reservations. So these are the transferable rewards on which you earn those points and are able to transfer. Then you have airline specific credit card. So they are also kind of transferable rewards, but very specific to that particular airline. So you may have seen pretty popular airlines having their own credit cards, and that's what this category is about. This particular type is about. And similarly for hotels, the popular hotel chains have their own credit card that's with the earnings on which can easily be applied for reserving a room with them, and that helps with the savings when it comes to these different travel types. All right, so let's start with the transferable rewards cards. So the first one is the most common one that you may have heard, which is Chase. And some examples in there are the Sapphire Preferred, Sapphire Reserve, Inc. Business. You also have the Capital One, Venture, and Venture X. You have heard about Build, which has the Build rewards in them. And the Amex card is also pretty popular when it comes to a travel credit card. You have the Amex Platinum, Gold, and then you also have City. So these are some examples in which you are able to earn points and travel and transfer it to travel partners. But which one do we recommend? So the first one on the list is Built. So the reason why Built is one of my favorite credit cards is because it has the $0 annual fee. So it's a great travel credit card that not only gives you zero international fees, foreign transaction fees, and allows you to travel with it without incurring those extra processing fee. But the best part about this credit card is that it has a zero annual fee. And as you may have known, Build is pretty popular when it comes to paying rent. So what does Build do differently? A Build allows you, when you sign up and open an account with Build, you have a checking number and a routing number being generated for your account. So if you have a rental payment portal, you may have noticed that generally it does mention that you will be charged up to 3% processing fee if you end up using a credit card. So in order to not be able to pay those fees, you just simply input that checking account number and a routing account number in there, which eventually gets charged to your Build credit card, and you end up earning 1x point on your biggest expense for the month. Why won't you want to earn those points and eventually have that contributed towards your travel? So highly recommend getting a Build credit card if you are a rent payer. Another great thing about this Build credit card and what makes it a good travel card is that it does give you 2x points on travel, so such as hotels, flights. You are able to earn 2x on those payments, on those purchases. And on dining at restaurants and cafes, you get 3x points. So as Akash mentioned previously, this card is great because it does have some of its own promos, such as the double points on rent days. So what are rent days? So the whole thing about Build is being able to earn points on rent. So on a rent day, which is first of every month, you are able to earn double points on every purchases that you make, except for your rent, which is totally okay. So that's why he mentioned that we plan our dates around it. So instead of paying 3x points on the first of every month on dining outside, we are able to earn 6x points. And Last thing about Build is that it has good transfer partners, because sometimes you will see some transfer partners which aren't really available on other transferable cards such as Chase and Capital Ones, and some of them you may be able to spot on Build. So this makes a great credit card for something that you don't have to pay a dime. So the next pretty common credit card that you may have heard out there is the Chase Sapphire Preferred. Most of the people kind of get started off with this credit card. It's a great card because it does have a reasonable annual fee, a $95 annual fee, which kind of pays for itself, and I'll explain how. As Sankesh previously mentioned, it currently has a sign-up bonus of 60,000 points, so it's not too bad. And initially, as he mentioned, there was an elevated offer of 70,000 points. Imagine having signed up for this card and earning those 70,000 points. And if you remember, we spent 35,000 points per head for a flight from IIT all the way to Mumbai. So that entire flight fare would have been simply taken care with the sign-up bonus. So that's why a huge sign-up bonus, and even 60,000 point is really great in order to help get started with those flight redemptions or hotel redemptions. As I mentioned, the $95 annual fee kind of pays for itself, at least partially. And that's because when you book for hotels from the Ultimate Reward Chase portal, and you spend towards a hotel reservation, a $50 hotel reward credit will be credited back to your bank statement. So for example, if I book one night stay for a hotel using my Chase credit card, it costed me $80. I will automatically get a credit statement credit of $50. That means that stay just costed me $30, which is pretty sweet. And that way I can make the most of this card with the other benefits that it also provides. So similar to Build, it also provides 3x on dining, 2x on travel, and 1x on all other purchases. So that's why for dining, we kind of interchangeably use this credit card or Build, and similarly for travel. If you do end up using your points on the Ultimate Reward portal, the point value in there is 1.25 CPP. As we mentioned, you may get a better CPP if you do transfer your points to the airline directly. But I feel 1.25 is also not too bad if that's where you want to stick with. If you do end up purchasing something from the Chase portal, you do get the 5x points for any travel bookings that you've made. So the example of the $80 hotel that we booked on the Chase portal, we would easily earn 400 points if we used our credit card to make that payment. And lastly, the best thing about the Chase reward system is that it has the best roster for transfer partner in the industry. So I believe that the most of the transfer partners that I've seen are the most popular ones are definitely on the Chase Preferred or the Ultimate Reward portal. And that way you are able to have a lot of options in terms of transferring your points to your preferred airlines. And also, as we've mentioned about bonus deals before, so a number of times we've seen Air France have a 25% bonus. Virgin Atlantic had a 30% bonus. So all those bonus times are a great opportunity to have those points transferred and get more value for something that you've already earned. So some examples of the airlines that we have transferred points other than Air France is United, Virgin, even Hyatt. So that's why this definitely makes up a great card. But the next great card, what we have in our wallet, and we also recommend if you don't mind paying a little bit of annual fee, is the Capital One Venture X card, which does have an annual fee of $395. When Sakesh came to me and he told me that, you know what, let's open up this credit card. It's really great, but it costs $395. And I told him, absolutely no way I'm paying $200 or like sharing the annual fee to just own a credit card, because that just seemed obnoxious to me. But now that I have used this card and I understand the perks that it offers, I would say it's totally worth it. And I'll tell you guys why. So starting with 2x points on all purchases is what you'll get if you choose to use your Capital One Venture X points for your purchases. So if you remember in Build and Chase, there are categories in which you will earn 1x points. So during those kind of purchases, we take out the VentureX card. So what could that be? It could be grocery shopping, like shopping at Costco or our local grocery store, or even going retail shopping. This is the card that we generally pull out because we don't get a lot of point earnings with in those categories with those other cards that I mentioned. The great thing about having this card, even for a high annual fee of $395, is that you do get a $300 credit for your travel bookings on their portal. So if you go on the Capital One Venture X portal, you would see that you have a $300 credit that you can use towards travel. That could be for flights or hotels. So out of the $395 annual fee, think about using the $300 for yourself for your own travel. So then it doesn't seem that bad of a deal. But what I really enjoyed this card for is for the fact that it provides some really great lounge access. It does provide you with free Priority Pass membership, and it allows you to access the Plaza Premium lounges as well. So it's a great opportunity. It's a great thing to be able to make your travel comfortable right before boarding your flight or even after. But the last category of lounge access are my favorite, which are the Capital One lounges. So far, these have absolutely been my favorite kind of lounges. And unfortunately, there are just three right now, one at IIT Dallas, one in Texas Dallas, and in Denver. But I really hope that they open up more so that with this credit card, you can actually access the best lounges that are there at airport. Another great perk about this card is that you can add free authorized users. You can add up to 4 authorized users. And the best part is that each of them can get their own priority pass. So when my parents were visiting us over here in the US, we made my father as one of the authorized users. And that way we were even able to get him his own priority pass. So when he and my mom are traveling in India or internationally, they make sure to use this credit card and use his priority pass in order to access the best lounges across the world. So I think it's a great credit card when you do want it to give like an international card for a family member and still be able to keep earning those points. I'm glad my parents do those expenses, so I end up earning points on them. On your anniversary with this card, Capital One will award you with 10,000 points just for simply holding the card. So that's great. And a great perk about this is that if you do choose to apply for global entry or TSA pre-check membership and you use this card to pay those membership fees, you will get up to $100 credit on your statement, almost making it a free membership for yourself. So again, the total of $300 credits for on the travel portal and $100 statement credit for global entry really makes up for that entire annual fee. And lastly, as Sankesh mentioned, Capital One does provide premium hotel collection perks. So when we booked our honeymoon, we chose the hotel that was there on their in their collection, and it was a really nice hotel in Maldives, the Lux Star Hotel, which did have its perks because we booked it from the Capital One portal. So these are some of the really great, nice things that it offers. And lastly, as I mentioned, with some credit cards, you automatically get good elite status. So just holding the Venture X card automatically gives you the Hertz Presidential Circle status. That could mean some good rental upgrades when you are trying to book with Hertz. Alrighty, so those were some of our transferable cards that I would highly recommend looking into if you would like to get started. But some of the airline-specific travel cards are also really good ones to have in your wallet. A few examples over here are the United Explorer, Mileage Plus, American Airlines, AA Advantage Platinum Select, Southwest Rapid Rewards Plus are some of the common ones that you would have heard. But the one we have in our wallet and would recommend you to check out as well is the United Explorer Mileage Plus. So what makes this a beginner-friendly card? For this card, you have no annual fee in the first year, and following that, you do pay a reasonable $99 annual fee. It would have a sign-up bonus of 50,000 miles, but we recommend you to wait for the elevated offer of 60,000 miles if you do choose to sign up for it. If you use this card for your United purchases, hotels and dining, you will earn 2x points. And if you use this card to make a reservation on United websites, be it entirely in cash or in miles plus a little bit of cash towards taxes and fees, you and one person on your reservation will get a free check bag, and also a free carry-on. So essentially, you could actually make a booking under the basic economy, which is like the super restricted category of their tickets, and still have the perks of the upgraded options, such as having a free check-in bag and the carry-on. A good thing about this card is that if you do make a purchase with a United Airline flight purchase with this card, you and everyone on your reservation will have priority boarding, which boards into group 2. So early boarding, stow away yourself, and just sit comfortably instead of waiting at the gate. And lastly, the best perk about this, and that kind of makes up for the annual fee as well, is 2 United Club one-time passes per year. This is something that Sankesh and I have made the most in the last 2 years of holding this card. The last time we used it was at LAX airport, which I believe had no other lounges except for the United Club lounge. And luckily, we were flying United that time. We had 2 hours to kill, and that was the best opportunity to use our club access, because we were able to just comfortably lounge there while we waited for our flight, but also grab some dinner before the red-eye flight. So that was pretty helpful. And lastly, this was another card that did provide with the $100 statement credit for global entry membership and TSA pre-check membership. So as one of us did make the most of these redemption on Capital One, the other one used this one. And lastly, from the examples that Sankesh showed you, United Explorer members do see the Saver Award availability. So the best possible deal that you could get for that particular route is highlighted. And that's what makes this card a great one to have, because you know that you can at least be shown the best possible option out there. All right, so those were the airline and the one card that we recommend getting started with. But the next category are hotels. Starting with some examples, which are World of Hyatt, IHG Premier, Marriott Bonvoy Boundless. So we have the first two with us, but if you were to start with a hotel credit card, we recommend starting with World of Hyatt. This credit card is something that the both of us own, and it was a good option to do so for so many great perks that it has, such as the award chart, as Sankesh mentioned, being able to earn points and not having that dynamic price over the year. Hyatt has been definitely a great card when it comes to hotel booking. It does have a $95 annual fee, which again pays for itself, and I'll tell you how. When you do sign up for it, you would get a 30,000 point bonus. It may not seem a lot, but if you remember previously, as Sankesh or I may have mentioned, that the lowest redemption that you could get with a for a Hyatt stay at a category 1 Hyatt hotel would be around 3,500 points. So imagine having 30,000 points from your sign-up bonus and earning 5,000 points from your earnings. You can simply stay 10 for 10 free nights by applying your 35,000 points towards those stays. Isn't that awesome? So yes, Hyatt points definitely give you some great redemptions. If you do use your Hyatt card for any purchases at a Hyatt hotel, be it for the stay, for an experience like the spa or dining, you can get 9x points on that. Whereas for other categories such as dining, you earn 2x points, even on airline tickets purchased directly from that airline, gym membership, and local transit and commuting. So if there is some some category which you know you are not earning more than 1x points, maybe think about it being available on other credit cards such as Hyatt. For example, we use our Hyatt card for gym membership and earn the 2x point on it. And obviously, like any other card, it gives you 1x points on all other purchases. A really cool thing about Hyatt is that when you open up the card, in the first 6 months, if you end up spending 15,000 points, you earn 2x points on those 15,000 points. So looking at this as a whole, let's say you did meet the minimum spend, And you also were able to spend 15,000 points in the first 6 months. You not only earned the 30,000 points with the sign up bonus, but also earned the 2x points on the 15,000, which is another 30,000, making it a total of 60,000 points. So this deal definitely makes it really easy to earn those points on your World of Hyatt credit card and be on your account and be able to apply that for any free stays. Talking about free stays, simply owning this card and completing a year with it, you'll receive your annual free night certificate with which you can stay a free night in a category 1 to 4 hotel, a Hyatt hotel. So that $95 annual fee definitely is worth it, because I'm sure no hotel stay for one night would cost any less than $95. So your free night certificate your annual fee kind of pays for that free night certificate. And one more way of getting the free night certificate is if you end up spending $15,000 in a calendar year, you do get another free night certificate. So imagine clubbing up all these free night certificates and having to pay not even points, just with these free night certificates, just go enjoy your stay. And you literally ended up saving so much. And lastly, if you do get the World of Hyatt credit card, you get an automatic discovery status, which comes with some perks such as waived hotel resort fees on award stays. You get a late checkout as well. You can get a complimentary room upgrade to a preferred room as per availability, and complimentary water bottle. All right. So how do you choose the right credit card? So we showed you a number of options, but how do you choose them? So I'm going to hand it over to Sunkist to lead this part once again.
All right, I'm back. So let's jump into the last section of this presentation before we move on to the Q&A, which is how to choose the right credit card. Spoiler alert, there's no fixed recipe as such, because this is very subjective to everyone's finances, everyone's goals, travel goals, as well as lifestyle goals, future goals. So, but I'm going to kind of still give you guys something to think on, that how you can choose the right credit card, especially the travel credit card. So first and foremost, there should not be any foreign transaction fee, because I think if there's any card out there that says it's a travel credit card and charges you a foreign transaction fee, then that's not really a true travel credit card. So you don't want to spend 2%, 3% just for using a card on your vacation in Paris. That doesn't make sense at all. So most travel credit cards, almost all I can say, have a no foreign transaction fee. So that's what you need to look for. You need to look for the best welcome offer, as we just looked at a huge sign-up bonus, minimum spending, if it's elevated or not. Those kind of things will constitute a welcome offer, and you want to try to go for the best one possible. So that's what I said, the high sign-up bonus. But in addition to that, you also want to look at the perks that are available. Sometimes there are also some value add perks that are also limited time. So for example, when we signed up for the Venture X card, they were just rolling it out. So they were throwing in a few perks that are not available right now. For example, a $200 Airbnb credit. So we jumped on that. So if there are some cards out there that have an elevated offer and are also throwing in some extra perks, you might want to get that. Of course, as I said, can't stress more. 1x is the bare minimum cents per point. Like you want to be earning more points for every dollar you spend. So 1x is like the bare minimum. So try to get a better reward rate for the categories in you spend the most. So that's something that you should look for. Start with a flexible card with transferable points. So if you're a total beginner at this, let's say you don't even have the build card which I spoke about, or the CSP, those are good ways to get started. If you know you want to get better benefits, then you can go for the Venture X. But these are what transferable cards are, and we recommend you start with that before moving on to airline card, for example, because of course, if you are traveling, and you're traveling to new destinations far and maybe even international, you might want to think of an airline card that helps you diversify your portfolio of credit cards. And of course, it has to be an airline of your preference. Maybe one way to think about it is just look at the last 3 years of data of your own travels. And did I fly with United more? Yeah, that makes sense. So that is my airline of preference. So that maybe United makes sense. Or you can look at which is the airport that is close to you. Is it a hub of a certain airline? So for example, United might be a hub, or American Airlines might be a hub in a certain city. And though there are more flights of American that you tend to always take. So you would want to go for an American Airlines card. Next, you can think of is after you've kind of covered the airline portion of your travel, you can think about the hotels, how you want to maximize your knowledge and the value that you get from all these miles and points, things with hotel expenses. So you need to look at what benefits do you value and like what are the benefits of your preference. So if IHG is also giving some benefits, Hyatt is giving, Marriott is giving, you can compare and see what makes the most sense for you. I think you should at least try to get one free night if you're opening a hotel card. That's like my philosophy, that if I'm opening a hotel card, I should get at least one free night each year. So that's something you should also strive for. And yeah, that's basically what makes up, that will help you choose the right credit card. And after this, let's jump into some resources as we are coming to an end. This is, I think, important because after this webinar, you're going to go back, do more reading, follow more people who can help you understand more about miles and points, because this is just the beginning. So some resources, of course, that I would say on Instagram, I really enjoy following Max Miles Points, who shares good redemptions, good ways to maximize your points earnings as well. Amanda Exploring is also sharing more about the hotels and some flights. There's Points Passport, who's sharing more of the luxury travel space or flight specifically. So there are some accounts, and of course it's us. Definitely try to join our broadcast channel, because once in a while we don't try to spam much over there, because we want to keep that a space where when something is really important, something to take action on, that's when we spend our time, and want you to spend your time looking at those messages. So that on those broadcast channels, we share deals that are really good, or ways you want to or a new credit card or a credit card with an elevated offer, those kind of stuff, all related to miles and points, we share over there in our Travel Smart broadcast channel. Then other than that, blogs and newsletters. Even before Instagram was a thing, there were blogs and newsletters. So one of my favorite ones is Daily Drop, which is actually a venture of Kara and Nate. If you know about them, they are YouTubers. So a newsletter every day in the morning is how I start my day, actually reading up. It's very well written, it's concise, a minute or two, and you kind of get to know the best of either deals or like things you should know about different loyalty programs, airlines, promos, and all that kind of stuff. So that's a good one. Points Guy is the OG. As I was saying, even before Instagram or any other social media was there, the Points Guy was one of the best resources and kind of a pioneer in the blog, Miles and Points blogging space. So it's a great resource. Upgraded Points has really good articles. And if you're looking for ways, let's say you come across a deal and you want to know, hold on, how is this seat exactly? Let me find a review. You'll most likely find it on Upgraded Points or even Points Guy. A certain first class flight, is this a good flight or not, a good seat or not? So that's one. But one thing, and I'm taking this quote unquote from a Reddit thread, where one user says that my only minor caveat is that blogs like Points Sky and all these generally overstate point values. What that means is that example redemptions tend to be extreme best case scenarios, that, oh, you can fly from here to there for just 20,000 points. And they usually include the transfer bonuses in that. So there's a lot of things like which sounds like a headline, but when you go in there, there are different things that you need to do to really get that value. Maybe it's also very, very limited award availability. So most of us who have a 9 to 5 job don't really have the unlimited flexibility on a random Wednesday to fly out in the middle of the workday, other than putting a PTO. So really, when it comes to travel time or the duration or the destination, and how far you are acting on certain deals, that's going to really define what kind of redemptions will you get. But if you are not getting the extreme best case scenarios listed here, don't be disheartened, because you don't want to sit on those points. You want to burn and churn, because you don't know what will happen to the points value eventually. Sometimes they get devalued. So don't look for that best opportunity that is advertised in all these blogs, but start acting on them if they make sense for you. So that's what I would say. More resources. Again, Reddit is a good place because it's not these content creators or influencers or bloggers talking about it. It's just people like us, the day-to-day people who are kind of active in the about travel space, and are sharing their thoughts or questions that you might have, and you might think, uh, maybe I'm not fully informed. I should not be asking that question, but somebody has already asked that question. So it's a legit question, and you might find answers in these threads over there. Of course, Chat GPT is a new thing. It makes things makes information very easily structured and available to you, beyond just the Google search. So that's one of the things I would do if I want to increase my knowledge in a certain topic of everything that we've shared. I would just Chat GPT it. Direct airlines or hotel about search. This is something like, if you have some free time and you want to see, you're open with your vacation planning, you think maybe you're considering Thanksgiving, and this is a real example that we'll give you, that I know that it's just June, but after we got back from Italy, I knew after just in a couple of months, Thanksgiving prices will go up and everything. So we just started looking at some airlines searches, like what about availability is available, and we actually managed to book a United Polaris business first class business class seat, for I think 60,000 points on Air Canada Aeroplan. So all of that knowledge that I shared with you helped me make that decision. And how I came to know about that deal, I'll share in just a bit. I'm not going to keep that secret. But yeah, sometimes maybe you can just search for hotel awards and direct airlines. If you're not you still don't know where you want to take a vacation, maybe this can guide you to do that and help you learn more about that as well. So as I said, to share more about how do you know which, how to find these redemptions. So there are some websites out there that I'll leave you with. A few of them might be free, but most of them are giving you this as a subscription or as a service for a fee. So like point.me is one where you can find certain flight redemptions that are possible, the extreme best case scenarios as well, but also the ones that are available. And then there's Max My Point, which is also another one where you can see the different kinds of award availability that is available by just entering our origin airport and destination airport, and even like play around with plus minus 7 days. So those kind of thing resources are available. Our favorite is really the Thrifty Traveler Premium, because I do not want to go in there and try to find a bunch of deals. I don't mind getting alerted about them, and then I can say, yeah, I do have availability. Maybe near Thanksgiving, we can start a week early, because Thanksgiving is like a dull period at work. So maybe that works for us. But I want to know when those alerts come, like with examples of what kind of redemptions you can do. And Thrifty Traveler Premium actually does a pretty good job with it. And it's not just award bookings, but also cash bookings. As you can see the examples over here, there's an award booking example of 55K, but there's also cash bookings example. Most of them, out of the 7 options are cash booking examples. So once you put in your airport of choice and destinations of choices, you start getting these alerts in your email. And when there's like a unicorn fair, which is like crazy deal, try to jump on it. You'll even get an SMS with that. So it does cost a fee. And currently, actually, if you use the code 50, FIFTY, you can get 50% off. So the $99 service is actually $49.99. And around Thanksgiving or also there's a discount usually. So maybe even 4th of July might have something. So definitely sign up for this if you are ready to start getting all those deals and act on them. So that's all about the resources. Next in the series, this is our second webinar that we did with the Miles and Points 101. We had a great response for the first one, great response for this one as well. And We might do another one, we don't know, but we definitely want to move on to the advanced webinars. This is kind of to build up the knowledge or the fundamentals of miles and points. But with the advanced webinars, we'll get deeper into different things like tips for streamlining of discovering the award space. What are some tips to streamline that entire process, because it can get very overwhelming with all that, the airlines, and you saw that chart that was so big. So best transfer partners to use in terms of award space, transfer ratio, transfer time, all that stuff, which cards to keep, cancel, or downgrade. So that's also like a complex thing, that which one do I keep, or should I cancel them, or should I just downgrade them if I'm not making the most of those perks once I have exhausted the sign up bonus. Two-player strategy. Chai and I, as she said, we signed up for the World of Hyatt and both of us have it. So it worked out for us at that point. So what kind of two-player strategies you can do? Tips for managing multiple cards effectively, point stacking, that's a big concept in itself. What's in our wallet, you already looked at that, but how do we maximize it? We can get deeper into all of that. And then individual card strategies as well, with all those cards in our wallet and more. So just to give you an example, on the right, you might see why is there a random screenshot? To just give you an example of what advanced stuff means here is, you found a certain, let's say you got a deal from Thrifty Traveler and you are looking at the award space. We booked actually exactly this flight for August 22nd. But in here, what we really verified is what kind of aircraft is this flight flying. So for this business class A350 aircraft, the Airbus is actually much better than the Boeing 777s because it's much newer, newly renovated, and it gives you an even better experience than a Boeing would give you. So this kind of stuff I want to cover in advance. So we are synthesizing, consolidating all of that information and putting it for the advanced webinar. So looking forward to see you in that. And with that, we come to the end of our session, and we're now opening up Q&A. So I'm going to go to the Q&A section to see if there are any questions that I can answer. So this is your chance if you want to ask any questions.
No. The last one. No.
Yeah.
No, of that.
Okay. See, 2 questions. I'm going to make this available. So I'm going to answer. I'll answer live. I think you guys should be able to see this question. So what is the best way to redeem the build points? That's a great question. The build points, as we shared earlier, paying your rent is definitely not a good way to redeem it, because you only get 0.5 cents per point value. However, one of the best ways, again, is the same. It's not just for Bilt, but any credit card. If you can transfer those points to programs that are listed as the transfer partners, that is the best way if you are also seeing a redemption option available. So example, I'll give you. American Airlines is a partner, won't be a partner actually starting Monday, June 24. That's the last day of their contract. But when it was a partner, we looked at some flights. For example, we got a deal alert in Thrifty Traveler Premium, and we saw that there are flights available on American Airlines for pretty cheap to Dominican Republic. So for Chai's birthday, we planned the Dominican Republic trip, and because there was this deal available, we looked at our build points and said, yeah, American Airlines is available as a partner. Let's transfer and make this booking. So I would say build points, or pretty much any transferable currency, it's best if you transfer to a partner and then redeem it for a flight. They also can be transferred to Hyatt. So the 2 programs, Chase, Ultimate Rewards, and Bilt, are the only ways that you can transfer to Hyatt, other than earning points on Hyatt directly with the credit card, the 2 transferable currency. So that's why Bilt is also very valuable. And you can get really good redemptions after transferring to Hyatt. So that's one question. There's another question, which is, which credit card would you use for car rental? That's a great question. And I think there are two questions in there. So let me answer that. Which credit card would I use for a car rental? For a car rental, Venture X is really great because it gives you, because being a higher annual fee card, it gives you really good protection, and all the liability and all of that insurance stuff that comes with the credit card that you already know about. So different cards have that up to a certain number. Venture X, being a more premium card, has a higher number and has a better, in terms of like coverage, is what I would say. So in that regard, car rental is good. But if you're talking in terms of earning the points, perhaps a Chase Sapphire Preferred, which earns 3x points on travel, and car rental definitely goes into the travel category. That might be a better option, even built for that matter, 3x points. And maybe if you time it on the first of the month while making that booking, you can actually get 6x points. Sorry, with built it's 2x, so you can get 4x points. So if you're talking in terms of points, the higher categories, since car rental goes in travel. But if you're talking in terms of coverage and insurances, we found Venture X to be better in terms of the cars that other cars that we shared. The other question is, what is the best credit card to use for tickets to India? That's a great question. It really comes down to the flight itself, like, and where you're booking it. If you're booking like any flight to India, like flights in general would be considered as a travel expense. So if you have a car that earns 2x or 3x on travel, you're going to earn those points. So there's no like a specific credit card good for tickets to India, because we've taken Etihad to India with a layover in Abu Dhabi. We've also taken Air France with a layover in Paris, and we've also taken Virgin Atlantic on the way back. So the flights could vary, the airlines could vary, but the card, what you would use is a travel credit card that gives you good points in terms of the travel category. Another option is booking it with the travel portal itself. If you're not transferring, all of this is for the cash booking. So if you're not transferring and redeeming your points, if you want to do your cash bookings, you should check. Of course, you start with Google Flights, everyone does, but you can check your portal as well and see if it's a few dollars difference, like higher. I'm saying if Capital One portal is giving me 5x points on booking flights through their portal, I might consider it if it's almost the same price, or maybe a few dollars more. So I need to do that math, that how many points am I earning by booking it on the portal, and I'll make that decision accordingly. So that's one. We have another question that says, amazing and very informative webinar. Thank you so much for joining. Can't wait to put all the knowledge to use. We are looking forward to that. And feel free to send us your success stories. If you do, that'll just give us immense happiness if you learn something from this and apply, even if it's a domestic flight. Yeah, I hope that whatever, but we'll definitely send you the slide deck and a long email with all the follow-up things. So be for the lookout for that today itself. We'll have all the links in there of all the credit cards that we shared, and a few other credit cards you might consider, you might want to consider. So yeah, and all the resources that I shared as well, the Thrifty Travel Premium. So all the links and everything, we are going to put all of that together and send you that email. And hopefully you made the most of this webinar. I'll just give another minute if you have any other questions. All right, Divya says, this is awesome. Thank you so much. I think you guys are awesome that you took the decision to, equip yourself. This kind of knowledge, I think, is spread out, and our goal is to just bring it all together and make it succinct for everyone to follow. And hopefully with our advanced webinars, we can take it to the next level and take you guys in terms of your knowledge as well to the next level. So let's wrap this up. Thank you so much for joining, and hopefully, looks like we have one last question coming in. So let me answer that. Will Thrifty Premier help with the best transfer options too? Yes, if you look at their email, you can find examples as where there are blogs out there, what kind of emails they send out before you make the decision to pay the $49 fee that is going on right now. They do share, it's very nice that the way this is available from these airports to this airport. Three options are available. You can do United, you can do Air Canada, but the best way to do is something else, Avianca Life Miles maybe. So they'll share, and then what transfers to those transfer partners as well is pretty good. So $50 a year is honestly not bad. If I can even get cash booking deals from them, why not do that? So I hope I answered that question about the transfer options. All right, then with that, we are at the end. Thank you guys so much, and we'll see you in the next one. Thank you for joining.
So
Bye now.